They said no because it'd take too long to manufacture all 700 Pokemon.
Yes, with a no.
Okay.
So,
okay, Final God, we're waiting.
So basically, Nintendo are acting stupid.
Yes.
You've got an idea.
I've got an idea, which is like, look, you put this toy on this portal and they fight. Kids would go off their heads. It would, to a kid, that would be like having 10 pounds of sugar.
What's even better, that the 3DS camera, you could scan the Pokemon itself and it would just go into it, and that would be even cool, or something like that.
Yeah, but they said, no, take too long to make figures of all the Pokemon, we wouldn't make our money back. It's like, yes, you would. So you're telling me you wouldn't make your money back on selling Pokemon toys on this portal, yet you're in your own little delusional head, you think you're going to make money back on Pokemon Black and White 2?
Gee, I think Pokemon Black and White 2 looks pretty good.
Fusion Stones to me are pretty bad, I don't like them.
You haven't heard the story for Pokemon Black and White 2,
I'd like to hear it then.
No, but
right,
I think they put a little bit too hard work into Reshiram and Zekrom fusions.
They've put no fucking work in. Let's talk about Pokemon
I could
Black
come up with it in my sleep.
Everybody was hoping for Grey version and Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald remakes first.
Well,
I want the Sapphire Ruby remakes.
There is no Sapphire Ruby
there
remakes.
Better be some.
Everybody
There
was
better
hoping
be
for it,
some.
even
Or I will rage at Nintendo because they were that was the most awesome region.
Kyurem would be.
But anyway, let's get into
place.
Pokemon Black and White 2, and let's talk about how Pokemon Black and White 2 wants to follow the manga and be dark and edgy.
Okay.
So do we see the problem straight away?
Yes, because Pokemon isn't supposed to be dark, is it?
Well, the manga was. In the actual manga, the trainers did actually sit their Pokemon on other trainers. There was a bit of darkness in Pokemon.
Okay, so what's the problem then?
Let's go to the but though. That was Japanese, and they've been doing that since the beginning.
Oh, it's because it's American and they won't be able to manufacture it, isn't it?
Well, the fact is, you're now trying to import this to America. But let's not only go for that. Let's just talk about how we're just gonna completely rip off Dragon Ball Z. Yes, I did just say that.
Oh, I see here.
You probably already know what I'm gonna say. So first of all, let's start off with the backstory. So, do we all know? Are we all familiar with Kyurem or Kyurem, the ice chicken?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
The ice chicken.
Good. Well, for a start off, she is God.
What?
That is our starting
I thought
point.
Arceus was God.
No, she is. She's the true God. I'll tell you why. So, before the Big Bang, there was nothing. Now, I hope you all know a bit of basic science about matter and antimatter.
Yeah, I know all of that.
So, yeah, before the Big Bang, there was nothing. There was nothing existed, and there was just antimatter. And then, as if by magic, Kyurem came into existence. Now, Kyurem is something which makes her matter, and matter and antimatter can't get along. So Kyurem created the Big Bang. And so she is God. Now, upon the Big Bang actually happening and apparently coming from her, she.
Okay, sorry guys. The call somehow got ended by Amber, so we're gonna continue from Spyro's story.
Now, I can't say this for definite. This was on a Japanese website, and I translated this from Japanese. So before anybody comes and says this isn't the story, this might not be the story, but this is the one that's been most circulated and is the one that's said to be the real one.
Okay.
But anyway.
What's the story for?
Pokemon Black and White 2.
Oh, so I wonder why you're on about Kyurem. So let's get into this.
So anyway, upon the point of the Big Bang, Kyurem split apart, and all of her emotions, all of her positive emotions like love and tenderness and care and happiness and joy and all that other nice stuff, split apart into Zekrom and Reshiram, leaving her as a cold, heartless, empty, evil shell of a bitch.
Ah.
Now, now after hundreds of millions of years of being an evil, heartless bitch, she's getting kind of fed up with it. And this is where we start the grand old story of Pokemon Black and White 2. Now, for a start off, you will not be fighting gym leaders.
No.
Because if you've noticed by the title, Black and White 2, this is a direct sequel to Black and White 1. You are the same character you were in Black and White.
No.
No,
That
it's
is
2 years later. It's 2 years
It's
later
2 years
according to
later.
Nintendo.
But the characters look different than the old characters, though.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think they're the same. And also, they've put new gyms in there.
well, I'm just telling you from the story that I've heard.
Okay.
But anyway, so apparently you're not going to fight gym leaders because this is a direct sequel, and apparently you're the same character. So you're going to, continue from your journey where you left off. And obviously last time you beat all the gym leaders and you beat the Elite Four, so there's no need to do them again.
So what about your Pokemon? What about your Pokemon?
I don't know. So
See,
everybody
that's
knows.
what I thought. I thought it was going to be a sequel to the old one.
But anyway, so everybody knows you're the strongest, including Kyurem. Because we're going to do what every other game has done, such as Twilight Princess, Metroid Prime Corruption, and so forth. We're going to implement a moral choice system.
Ah.
So here's what you can do. You can either be a good guy and train your Pokemon up to stop Kyurem, or you can go to Kyurem, get brainwashed, and be her little evil bitch slave and do whatever she wants so that she can become whole again. But let's just actually go back to what I've just said there. So, as you've probably noticed from the Pokemon that are on the front of the box, they are fusions of Kyurem and Reshiram.
Yeah.
Now, how do you think that happens?
It's in the DNA of Kyurem, as from Zekrom
you-
and Reshiram.
Were they born from Kyurem?
Yes.
Yes.
So I've read it somewhere that it has access to their DNA, so it can transform into them, sort of.
Oh no, we're going for the dark and edgy route. Man.
Were they born from Kyurem?
They split from her in the Big Bang.
So it's kind of, I see. So
Now,
continue.
if you remember back to my first sentence, who's seen Dragon Ball Z?
I haven't, sadly.
I haven't seen it because I'm not really into that sort of thing.
Oh dear.
You're going to have to explain a few things. I know some about it. I'm not completely blank on the subject.
I know that they all go Super Saiyan and explode everything.
Have you heard of Cell?
Yes,
Yeah,
I have.
goes,
I
"I'm
have.
a
Yes.
a laser.
Yeah, he's that one. Yeah,
Ah.
I've probably all. Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
green one.
Yeah, he's the green one. Do you know what his main goal in the show was?
To
What?
explode everything.
No, from his creator, because he was like some genetic mutant. But his creator gave him a program to follow, because he's like an android, but he's not an android because he's actually made.
He looks like a freaking cactus man.
Well, that's his second form. That's after what he did. His first form was this giant, awesome lizard thing, which was actually indestructible and invincible. But because he was so invincible, the writers will contrive some bullshit plot to be like, right, seems we've made him invincible and made a fuck up. How about we do this? Then he'll turn into that I'm a fire in my laser version and become not invincible. Genius.
So what's this to do with Black and White?
Yeah.
When they made Cell invincible and they had to contrive some bullshit.
I know what's going on here. Is it because Kyurem is invincible and they've got to make him uninvincible? Got to make her uninvincible?
No. No. When Cell was invincible and they had to contrive some bullshit way of making him not invincible anymore, they decided to give him this story of to become truly all-powerful, even though he was already truly all-powerful to start with, he must absorb Android 7 and 18, which would make him perfect Cell. And he can do this by using his tail to suck them up.
That's just weird.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Okay,
So
okay.
Use his tail to suck them up.
It was a very strange episode, I'll admit, especially when he absorbed the first one, and how he did it could be definitely said that there was some people in the porn section wanting to do that shot.
Rule 34.
Yeah, I think Rule 34 broke into the Dragon Ball Z office. Because when Dragon Ball Z said Cell's going to absorb 17 through his tail, I think Rule 34 did break into the office and say, you will make him do it in this exact shot.
And it gets even worse. Okay,
Well,
so going from
back
that,
to Black and White, now that you know that, the way that Kyurem is going to become complete and become herself again
she
before
has
the
to
Big Bang happens.
suck them in.
Well, she doesn't have to suck them in because she doesn't have a very strange penis-shaped tail. But she's got to absorb them into her body, thus killing them. So I hope... So kids, if you were attached to Reshiram and Zekrom and you trained them up and you loved them...
Well, tough, they're gonna die.
They're gonna die.
Well, too bad that
So this is why it's stuck. So this is the problem, because they won't be able to publish it in England because it's too dark, and it was just the fact of killing shouldn't be allowed.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be open to whether they're still going to be dormant inside her or some bullshit. But the main point is she's going to absorb them into her body and they're going to die. And when she absorbs one into her body, depending on which version of the game you've got, she's going to transform into half-perfect Kyurem, which is the form you see on the box art. And obviously when she is one of the two, she'll be then going to absorb the other one to become perfect Kyurem.
So basically, so the problem is here that they can't. When Nintendo tried to send this to England and that and the US, there will be like, oh, this has got like extreme violence and kind of like dark death in it, kind of thing. You know, it's like grimdark in it, so they won't be able to put it in, basically.
Well, yeah.
But the thing is
that
that's not actually what the story's gonna be like, is it?
Well, it's probably going to be like that, but then they're going to change it.
Yeah.
Like, when Reshiram's facing Kyurem, there's just going to probably be a flash of light, and then there's going to be the fusion of Kyurem and Reshiram.
So people can't make Rule 34 out of it.
And then it'll open to what happened.
It sort of backfires from what happened, what they've released so far of the game. It sort of contradicts what you're saying. Because there's two new gyms and they have two new different characters.
So basically this last 10 minutes has been a waste of time.
As I say, half of this is translated from Japanese on a very poor translator.
On Google Translate.
Actually, it was Babelfish, but yeah. And,
Babelfish.
And some of it, I can believe some of it. I can understand the fusion thing, because how else are they going to make Kyurem and Reshiram
I
go
believe
together?
it's the DNA thing.
Or you could just say, well, Kyurem and Reshiram had sex and that's their baby. She got pregnant. We took it in black and white.
So this last like 10 minutes has been a waste of time.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just reading what I got off a Japanese website. Some of it might come true, you know.
Yeah.
The whole backstory of her being the one that made the Big Bang and Kyurem.
But that would backfire on Arceus, which already backfired on Mew.
Exactly. So why not backfire it a third time?
So basically, to sum this up, half of this is wrong and some of it's right.
Yeah.